Doctors of Reddit, what is your most awkward experience when dealing with members of the opposite sex? I was the chaperoning nurse, young doc, first week in OB and was seeing a early pregnancy part-time in triage. Docs usually say, I am going to put my hand on your vagina now, or you will feel the speculum on your lips labia. He was riddled and so nervous he conflagrated them as, I am going to put my lips on your vagina now. The patient and I roared with laughter for a second before we controlled ourselves. He shakily kept his dignity and kept right on going like nothing happened. He never referred to it again for years he was there. When I was 16, I sometimes got dizzy if I stood up really fast. I am pretty sure this is relatively normal, but my mom thought something was wrong with me. So she took me to the doctor, and he wanted to check for testicular cancer. I had a worried look on my face because I didn't want an old Asian man feeling my nuts. The doctor saw my face and thought it might console me if he spoke teenager. He said in his Asian accent, I am gonna feel up yo balls. I felt pretty awkward after that. Somewhat related, but from a patient's perspective, when I was in nursing school, I went to my school's student health center for a gyno appointment. The doctor asked me if it was alright if a medical student was present. I said that was fine. She then specifies the student was male and asks me if that was still okay. I was not totally comfortable with that, but as a nursing student I knew how much it sucks when a patient refuses you, so I said yes. Lo and behold, it was an incredibly attractive med student from my school, who I bumped into all the time, and he saw the inside of my vagina. I never could look him in the eye after that. At it, a lot of people are commenting that he or I should have refused. I didn't actually know the guy. I just knew him as a hot stranger, and I think I became much more aware of his presence after this occurred. After receiving an internal exam from my GIN, he asked if he could bring a medical student in so they could get some practice. I agreed, thinking he meant a student. He took a good 10 minutes, but after that, in walked a group of about 5 people, male and female. They each took turns putting their fingers in my vagina, then talking about me like I was not there, as they reported what they felt to my GIN syphilitic chancre. Cysticil, with his back turned to me, my GIN corrected them and told them exactly what they had been feeling. It's her penis, attached to the interior wall below the cervix. Her urethra is inside her vagina. She was born with ambiguous genitalia and had cosmetic feminization at 2 years of age. But the surgeon missed the internal structures, and that's how I discovered that I was born intersex. And my parents opted for me to have labiaplasty as a toddler. To be fair, your case sounds pretty rare and was probably good to show to students, but damn, he should have told you that you were going to be the class prop. We are taught to explain to patients exactly what we are doing, as we are doing it. Delicate wording becomes important during female pelvic exams. Instead of okay, I am going to place the speculum inside now, so you will just feel some warm pressure, my buddy ended up saying, okay, I am coming inside you now. The female patient responds, no thanks, I already have 3 children. General surgeon, 31 years old female. For context, I work for a county hospital taking care of very salt-of-the-earth patients. These are my people, as I was also born with a plastic spork in my mouth. Talking one morning to a young man who was about to get his inguinal hernia fixed, and his only question to me was, when can I have sex again? The only person with him was his girlfriend, who was smoking hot, so I broke him the bad news. You are gonna wake up feeling like a horse kicked you right square in the junk. So, go ahead and do what you want when you feel like you want to. But it's not gonna be today. We get him to the OR, put him under general anesthesia, and then a very new, very young, very pretty female nurse starts to prep him. To those unfamiliar, this involves vigorously scrubbing down the groin, including the penis and scrotum, with what amounts to a sponge on a hollow stick that dispenses a compound that decontaminates the skin somewhat. As soon as she starts scrubbing, the patient pops a raging boner. He was completely under and paralyzed, mind you, but the more she cleans, the bigger it gets, and yeah, this kid's a shower, I tell ya what. Poor thing, her face just gets redder and redder, and it gets bigger and bigger, and everyone's giving her shit the whole time. I finally stop her because I am afraid any second he was gonna break scrub and contaminate my field. We do our best to drape around old Ron Jeremy. It was hard. My poor married with kids and straight as far as I know, male resident had to keep betting the damned thing out of our field during the whole case. Afterwards, I made sure to reiterate to the hot girlfriend that he probably would not feel like having sex in the near future. She asked me point blank if it was okay if she blew him, and I told her to go nuts. He asked me the same question when he woke up from anesthesia, and when I gave him the same answer, he gave me a knuckle bump in reply. God, I love county folk. Not me, but a fellow classmate in medical school. We have mock exams, and various people will sign up to be patients. They get paid a decent amount, so he went in the mock exam room and started the basic history and physical on the fairly attractive female. Did this and that pretty standard stuff, grabbed and a tongue depressor and had her open her mouth. Then, nothing, he did it again, and said with bewilderment, "That is weird, you do not have a gag reflex." She smiled and gave him a coy wink. He about lost it and could not finish. He walks out and finds the preceptor, who monitors the exam, about rolling on the floor laughing. As for me, I never really had an overly awkward experience other than maybe knowing someone, which can make certain exams a little awkward. Oh, I have another one. Me this time. I was in my ob-gyn rotation and this young redhead came in for genital warts. Let's just say that the curtains matched the carpet and pun intended, she was a bonfire down there. So me and my preceptor at the time were looking for warts in the forest down there. We would find one, freeze it, find another, freeze it. I got lost in the moment and forgot where I was, as I was just a student and not yet fully developed professional composure. I saw one and said, "I found one, a big one too." Realizing what I said, I looked up from between her legs, as she looked down and we locked eyes. The embarrassment in her eyes is something I will never forget. I felt like a giant ass. Not a doctor, student red tech. Had a patient for a regular chest X-ray series, but she was coughing up sputum. I asked her if she wanted a tissue to cough it up into, and she said she didn't spit. She was a swallower and winked at me. I am 19, she was 98. Patient here. I was in a small town where my parents used to live and I had to see a gynecologist. I was worried that I may have had a tampon stuck in my vagina. That's not physically possible, but I didn't know that at the time. Unfortunately, the only doctor I could see was a friend of my parents. After thoroughly probing and peeking, he informed me that there was nothing wrong. In fact, your vagina is, for lack of a better word, gorgeous. I have never been so embarrassed. I had to babysit his kids that weekend. My doctor once said, "You are so thin, it's very easy to palpate your organs." Then he felt my spine from the front. It was awkward. When I was in nursing school, my lab partner was a Kenyan marathon runner. He was so skinny, our teacher used him as an example all the time, because you could literally see his heart beating through his chest in his intercostal spaces. And where his lungs were a little overdeveloped from running, he could take a deep breath and you could almost see the outline of his liver. He always had to take his shirt off and let people prod and grope him. Doctor here recently walked in on a new mother in a sitz bath, with two breasts pumps gulping away at her all the while her husband grins from ear to ear as I worked her up for a pubic bone injury. The newborn could sense my embarrassment. My pediatrician used to substitute this old male doctor sometimes without notifying anyone. It was almost always the days I was coming in for my sports physical. That feel when you are going to get your balls touched by a lady doctor in your early teens, and then seeing an old man snapping latex gloves on. Patient side of the story, I got a positive on a STD test, so to take the secondary test to make sure, I went to public health center located near me. The blood drawer person was extremely cute, so when she drew my blood I was striking up a conversation, just to be friendly. She says, "You are awfully cheerful for a person that doesn't know if you have a STD or not." I tell her, "Well, you will let me know if I do." She gave me a smile and left. When someone came back, I shit you not, I was facing the other way, and said something charming, flirty, only to turn around face to face with an old lady doctor. She even had a sense of humor and said, "You can call me when you know you are clean." She was the kind of woman you can tell that used to be pretty about 20-30 years ago, but old age took its toll. I got embarrassed, asked for when to come back for results, and left. Week later I go back, see the same old lady doctor, and tells me I am clean. I left before any awkwardness bubbled up. Use liquid nitrogen to freeze genital warts off of a 20-something-year-old girl. After she touched her genital warts with her hands to show me where they were, I applied cryotherapy and left the room for a moment so she could get dressed. When I got back, she proceeded to grab my hand and shake it, after touching all of her warts, without washing her hands. My classmate and I were at a free clinic performing our first ever pelvic exams on standardized patients. Classmate is a big woman pillager of a man and gets to go first. He proceeds to insert his fingers to palpate for the bimanual exam. Our poor standardized patient shrieks right away. She promptly states that for all women's sake, he is gonna need to use one finger for those procedures from now on. As a third-year med student on OB, a 13-year-old giving birth, mother yelling at her in Spanish, telling the attending and myself, she had one period and got pregnant over and over again. And then after delivery, the new mother says, "What color is it?" as an intern. Super hot first-year med student I met after a party, who hooked up with one of my bros week before comes into ER with STD. I had to examine, still have not told anyone. As a third-year resident, male to female pre-op transgender whips out penis for proof in front of entire team, funnier than awkward. As an attending last year, hot 30-year-old Brazilian asthmatic comes to see me and whips her fake giant boobs out. When I asked simply to lift the back of her shirt, it's okay to listen Instaboner. Thanks for watching. Share your opinion in the comments. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing. It will help a lot.